Sir Matt Busby. In 1945, Matt Busby walks into Old Trafford with a club in ruins. The stadium is bomb-damaged from the war, the squad is broken, and United hasn't won the league since 1911. Busby tears it all down and builds again, promoting youth, demanding attacking football, and shaping a side that refuses to play with fear. Within 3 years, United lift the 1948 FA Cup, proof that his blueprint works. Then comes 1958. A plane crashes in Munich carrying Busby's young squad, the Busby Babes. 8 players die, including Duncan Edwards, the 21-year-old prodigy many believed would become the greatest of all time. Busby himself spends 2 months in hospital, twice given last rites, but survives. He returns scarred but unbroken, vowing to rebuild from tragedy. The club could have died that day, he refused to let it. A decade later, his redemption is complete. On May 29th, 1968, United defeat Benfica 4-1 at Wembley to win the European Cup. George Best dribbles through defenders, Bobby Charlton scores twice, and Busby finally holds the trophy that slipped through the flames of Munich. They are the first English club ever to conquer Europe, 12 years after nearly being wiped out. Busby leaves behind more than silverware. He creates United's DNA: youth over stars, attack over fear, resilience over collapse. Every manager after him inherits that standard, and every fan demands it. Busby doesn't just win trophies, he makes Manchester United immortal. Wilf McGuinness. In 1969, Wilf McGuinness is handed the impossible job. At just 31 years old, he replaces Sir Matt Busby, the man who built United's soul. A former player forced into early retirement through injury, McGuinness is loyal, young, and seen as Busby's chosen heir. But inheriting legends like Bobby Charlton, Denis Law, and George Best proves a poisoned chalice. Charlton questions his authority, Best ignores his rules, and the dressing room quickly senses weakness. Results collapse, and the swashbuckling style Busby ingrained dissolves into confusion. United finish 8th, then start the next season in freefall. By December 1970, the board has no choice but to sack him. Busby briefly returns as caretaker, highlighting how far McGuinness fell. The young manager retreats to the youth setup, back in the shadows where he began. His reign lasts just 18 months, leaving little but a cautionary tale. Follow a legend too soon, and you're doomed to be forgotten. Wilf McGuinness never gets another chance at the top level. For United, it's the first taste of chaos after Busby's empire, and only the beginning of decades defined by instability. Frank O'Farrell. In 1971, United paid Derby County £70,000 in compensation to bring in Frank O'Farrell. He arrives with a solid reputation, but also the burden of replacing Busby's aura once more. At Old Trafford, though, he walks straight into a storm called George Best. The genius winger is unstoppable on the pitch, but spirals into drinking and late-night chaos off it, testing O'Farrell's patience and authority. The results nosedive. After a strong start, United collapse and finish 8th, miles off the pace. The following season, the freefall continues, and by Christmas 1972, the club is flirting with relegation. O'Farrell looks powerless, unable to control his dressing room or the direction of the team. In just 18 months, his reign ends with dismissal, another casualty of the impossible task of following Busby. Best walks out, the team unravels, and the board panics. United, once European champions, now stare at the abyss. Frank O'Farrell is remembered less for what he achieved and more for how quickly it unravelled. His sacking sets the tone for the turbulent decade to come, one where Old Trafford is ruled by instability instead of dominance. Tommy Docherty. Tommy Docherty arrives in late 1972 with fire in his voice and swagger in his step. United are sinking, the squad fractured, and by 1974 the unthinkable happens: relegation. George Best has drifted. Denis Law scores a back heel for rival City that seals United's fate. and the club tumbles into the second division for the first time since the 30s. Docherty refuses to let it define him. He clears out aging stars, promotes hungry youngsters, and demands attacking football. The response is instant. United storm back at the first attempt, winning promotion in 1975 with a side built on energy, width, and fearless play. Old Trafford embraces the revival, believing the worst is over. 2 years later, Docherty delivers silverware. In 1977, United beat Liverpool 2-1 in the FA Cup final, denying their rivals an unprecedented treble. Stuart Pearson and Jimmy Greenhoff score, Wembley erupts, and the Dock basks in the glow of United's rebirth. For fans, it feels like the corner has finally turned. But scandal ends him. An affair with the club physio's wife becomes front-page news, and the board sacks him just weeks after his greatest triumph. Docherty saves United from humiliation, restores their pride, and then loses everything. Undone not by football, but by his own personal chaos. Dave Sexton. In 1977, Dave Sexton replaces Tommy Docherty, stepping into Old Trafford with a reputation for tactical discipline. He signs striker Joe Jordan and midfielder Ray Wilkins, both talented and expensive, but immediately shifts United away from swashbuckling football. His philosophy is safety first, control above chaos. The result? United keep the ball, but the thrill bleeds out of every game. Fans grow restless. The team grinds out results, but goals vanish, and Old Trafford groans at the cautious play. United go close in 1979, losing the FA Cup final 3-2 to Arsenal after an incredible late comeback falls short. That near miss becomes the story of his reign, disciplined, structured, but never delivering glory. By 1980, Sexton's side win their final 4 games of the season, giving a glimmer of hope. But it's too late. United still finish second behind Liverpool, with no trophies to show for 3 years of caution. The board has seen enough. In 1981, Sexton is sacked. He leaves without silverware, remembered not for collapse or scandal, but for suffocating the flair out of United. His era proves one truth at Old Trafford: pragmatic football without trophies is unforgivable. Ron Atkinson. In 1981, Ron Atkinson arrives with a gold chain, a big personality, and even bigger ambitions. He wastes no time making a statement, smashing the British transfer record by signing Brian Robson for £1.5 million. Robson becomes captain, leader and heartbeat of United, embodying Atkinson's vision of strength and swagger. The fans buy in, believing the swaggering Big Ron can restore Busby's glory. His United are entertainers. Wingers fly, tackles bite, and Wembley becomes a second home. In 1983, United lift the FA Cup after beating Brighton in a replay, then repeat the trick in 1985 by defeating Everton. Atkinson turns cup finals into showcases of grit and flair, giving the fans silverware to cheer while Liverpool dominate the league. But the league title remains untouchable. United start brilliantly in some seasons, only to collapse when it matters most. Liverpool continue to tower over England, and Atkinson's men can't close the gap. For all the noise and all the money, United still can't claim the crown. The end comes brutally in 1986. A disastrous start leaves the team near the bottom, and the board swings the axe. Atkinson is sacked, replaced by a stern Scot named Alex Ferguson. Big Ron brought style, but Ferguson was about to bring an empire. Alex Ferguson. In November 1986, Alex Ferguson walks into Old Trafford with one mission: end Liverpool's dominance. At the time, United have gone 19 years without a league title, and Anfield is drowning in silverware. Ferguson sets out to rebuild from the ground up. Stricter discipline, a ruthless culture, and an obsession with youth. The players hate his early rules, but he refuses to bend. By 1990, the rebellion almost consumes him. Results nosedive, the board wavers, and the FA Cup becomes his last lifeline. In the final, United beat Crystal Palace in a replay, and Ferguson survives. That trophy changes everything. The squad buys into his vision and the board finally believes. The empire begins. Over the next 2 decades, Ferguson wins 13 Premier League titles, 5 FA Cups and 2 Champions Leagues. He creates dynasties, from Eric Cantona's swagger to the class of '92. Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, David Beckham, Gary Neville, all grown from the youth system he demanded. In 1999, his side do the impossible, the treble. Premier League, FA Cup and Champions League in a single season, sealed by 2 injury-time goals in Barcelona. Ferguson retires in 2013 after delivering United's 20th league title, leaving as the greatest manager in the club's history. He conquers England, reshapes Europe, and builds a legacy so vast that every successor drowns in his shadow. Ending Liverpool's dominance was the mission. Creating Manchester United's modern identity was the result. David Moyes. In 2013, David Moyes is handpicked by Sir Alex Ferguson himself. A 6-year contract signals stability, and Old Trafford unfurls a banner, the chosen one. But the squad he inherits is aging. Scholes retired, Giggs fading, Ferdinand and Vidic past their peak. Moyes is tasked with replacing legends, and every move he makes backfires. His first summer sums it up. United chase Thiago, Fabregas and Gareth Bale, but end up with Marouane Fellaini on deadline day. Performances crumble, home defeats to West Brom and Everton expose the cracks, and United sink into mid-table mediocrity. The aura of invincibility Ferguson built vanishes within months. By spring, the Champions League spots are gone. United are dumped out of Europe by Bayern, humiliated by rivals Liverpool and City, and the players no longer believe. The 6-year project lasts just 10 months before Moyes is sacked in April 2014. The banner comes down, and so does the illusion of a smooth transition. Moyes is remembered not for what he built, but for what collapsed. The chosen one became the wrong one, and United discover the brutal truth. Replacing Ferguson isn't a job, it's an impossible curse. Ryan Giggs, interim. April 2014, Ryan Giggs swaps the pitch for the dugout. The club legend with 963 appearances and 13 league titles becomes caretaker after Moyes is sacked. For fans, it feels like a fairy tale. The most decorated player in United's history stepping in to steady the ship. He manages just 4 games, 2 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat. The football isn't transformed, but the mood is. Old Trafford cheers its hero on the touchline, a symbol of continuity after a season of chaos. His presence alone restores a flicker of pride. In his final home game, Giggs grabs the microphone and delivers a heartfelt message, thanking fans for their loyalty during United's darkest campaign in decades. The crowd roars back, knowing they are witnessing the end of one chapter and the uncertain start of another. That summer, Giggs hands the reins to Louis van Gaal, stepping back into an assistant role. His reign is brief, but symbolic. For a few weeks, Manchester United was led by the man who embodied everything Ferguson built, Louis van Gaal. In 2014, Louis van Gaal lands at Old Trafford with World Cup pedigree and iron discipline. Fresh from guiding the Netherlands to 3rd place in Brazil, he declares it Louis van Gaal's army. His philosophy is strict, possession-obsessed and unbending. Players follow patterns, not instincts, and fans quickly split between admiration and frustration. The spending is enormous. Angel Di Maria arrives for a British record £59.7 million. Radamel Falcao joins on loan. Memphis Depay is billed as the next superstar. In total, Van Gaal spends over £250 million trying to build his system. But results swing wildly, from 4-0 humiliations to shock wins over rivals, leaving United looking like a team in transition, never fully alive. In May 2016, Van Gaal delivers his moment. United beat Crystal Palace 2-1 in the FA Cup final, Jesse Lingard smashing the winner in extra time. It's the club's first major trophy since Ferguson, and Van Gaal celebrates on the Wembley pitch like a general who has proved his campaign victorious. 2 days later, he is sacked. Jose Mourinho is already lined up, and Van Gaal's trophy isn't enough to save him. His reign is remembered as strict, expensive, and unpredictable, ending in irony, with silverware in one hand and a termination letter in the other. Jose Mourinho. In 2016, Jose Mourinho walks through the doors at Old Trafford as the special one. His reputation is global, his charisma undeniable, and his promise is simple: bring trophies back. Instantly, he delivers. Within his first season, United win the Europa League, the League Cup, and the Community Shield, 3 trophies that restore some pride after years of drift. But Mourinho's style is never just about football. He builds walls, both defensively and personally. Paul Pogba, the £89 million record signing, clashes with him. Anthony Martial bristles at his treatment. The dressing room fractures, and Mourinho thrives on conflict. For every fan who celebrates his pragmatism, another despises the toxicity spreading inside Carrington. In 2018, he produces one of his greatest ironies. United finish second in the Premier League with 81 points, their best post-Ferguson tally. Mourinho calls it one of his finest achievements, but the cracks are already showing. Liverpool and City soar ahead, and Mourinho's side feels built on tension rather than belief. By December, the collapse is total. Humiliating defeats, mutinous players, and a fan base split force the board to act. Mourinho is sacked, leaving Old Trafford with silverware in the cabinet but chaos in the corridors. The special one brought trophies, but also scars that linger long after his exit. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. December 2018, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer returns to Old Trafford as caretaker manager. The baby-faced assassin who scored the 1999 Champions League winner now carries the hopes of a broken club. His start is electric. Wins pile up. The football feels free again, and players look reborn. The miracle comes in Paris, when United overturn a 2-0 deficit against PSG with a last-minute Marcus Rashford penalty. That night seals Ole the permanent job. Across the next seasons, he rebuilds with youth and energy. Bruno Fernandes transforms the midfield, Rashford and Greenwood blossom, and United rediscover attacking intent. Fans reconnect with the team, even as silverware proves elusive. Semi-finals become his ceiling, 4 in total, all lost. In 2021, the chance for glory arrives, the Europa League final. United fall to Villarreal on penalties, David De Gea missing the decisive kick. Despite the heartbreak, Ole still feels like progress. His squad is young, hungry, and unburdened by Mourinho's toxicity. United finish second in the league, their highest since Ferguson, and supporters sense something building. For a while, belief outweighs doubt. But 2021 unravels everything. Heavy defeats to Liverpool and Watford leave the club in crisis. By November, the board makes the call. Solskjaer is sacked before Christmas. He leaves with no trophies, but with fans still singing his name, a manager who restored spirit, if not silverware. Ralf Rangnick, interim. In December 2021, Ralf Rangnick arrives at Old Trafford with a reputation as the godfather of gegenpressing. He is supposed to install intensity, organisation, and a tactical identity that can modernise United. Instead, he finds an ageing squad unwilling or unable to run, and his philosophy collapses before it ever takes hold. The results are disastrous. Heavy defeats to Liverpool, Brighton, and even relegation-threatened sides expose United's lack of fight. The pressing game that once inspired Klopp and Tuchel looks impossible with a fractured dressing room. By the end of the season, the numbers are brutal. 6th place, just 58 points. United's worst Premier League tally in decades. Rangnick doesn't hide it. He calls the squad out publicly, demanding open-heart surgery and admitting the problems run deeper than coaching. His bluntness wins headlines but loses allies inside the club. Fans see honesty Players see betrayal, and the board prepares to move on. By summer, Rangnick is gone, sliding into a consultancy role that lasts only weeks before he departs to coach Austria. His interim reign leaves no trophies, no structure, only scars. The godfather of pressing becomes, at United, the ghost of wasted potential. Ruben Amorim. On November 11, 2024, Manchester United turn the page and appoint Ruben Amorim. The decision ends Erik ten Hag's turbulent reign and signals a bold gamble by Ineos. Amorim arrives with credibility, league titles with Sporting in 2021 and 2024, a young coach hailed as one of Europe's most promising minds. Old Trafford greets him with cautious hope. Another rebuild, another reset. The start feels electric. His first Manchester derby brings a shock win, instantly lifting belief in his methods. Players speak of clarity, pressing looks sharper, and fans sense a new identity emerging. For a brief moment, it feels like United have finally found the modern tactician they craved. But the glow fades fast. League form slips into inconsistency, old weaknesses resurface, and pressure mounts as dropped points pile up. Performances swing wildly, leaving Amorim stuck between promise and frustration. United still lack the ruthless consistency to challenge at the very top. By early 2025, the mood shifts. Questions grow louder about recruitment, ownership, patience, and whether Amorim can survive the storm. His project is framed as a crossroads, either the beginning of true renewal or just another short-lived chapter in a post-Ferguson saga littered with false dawns.